Okay, well, following breaking news from New York, this is a live look outside of the Manhattan courthouse. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has been found guilty of all 34 criminal charges he faced at his hush money trial. Right now, let's bring in John Misick, politics editor at MassLive.com. John, former U.S. president, guilty. Let's start with that.
History, American history, just made moments ago in a Manhattan courtroom. Bakari, as you said, former President Donald Trump found guilty on all 34 felony counts in his fraudulent business practices case brought by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Reaction that is still rolling in. We are in an extraordinary moment with a man who has filled our history with extraordinary moments.
Okay, John, I'm not being flippant here, but what does this really mean? I mean, look, NPR just came out with a new poll saying that this decision will not sway voters whatsoever. So what does this mean?
It remains, we'll see what happens in a couple of days when this settles in. This race remains neck and neck in most polls. But what we've got, Bakari, even if the case is appealed, and it likely will be appealed, this marks the first time in American history that a former president of the United States has been found guilty on felony counts. That part, whatever happens from here, politically speaking, that part can't be erased. That part can't be understated. Whether it moves the needle politically is a story for a little bit later on. I mean, we're focused right now on sort of the extraordinary nature of this moment.
Okay, John, also looking at optics here, for a crime like this, he's probably not going to go to jail. People, they, have to pay a fine, maybe have some probation. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know how. We've never been here before. Alvin Bragg has said that Rikers Island, the New York City jail, is ready to house the former president if that's what happens. He's got he's got Secret Service protection. No one knows what that would look like. We've not been here before. It is most likely that he will not see the inside of a jail cell, but there will be some sort of confinement. There'll be some sort of sentence. We'll see what the contours of that look like.
And along those lines, John, we are now seeing reports that sentencing is going to be held July 11th. How does it all play into campaigning?
The former president will be out campaigning. He will be, presumably some sort of bond will be established after the verdict is read out.
Oh.
He can continue to campaign. This conviction won't change.
Okay, John,
Yes.
We're going to have to take a pause right there. Let's listen to former U.S. President Donald Trump addressing the crowd right now.
Are you worried about going to jail?
This was a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win, because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now, from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble, but this was a rigged decision right from day one, with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
Why should voters vote for a convicted felon?
Are you going to drop out?
Okay, so we just heard former U.S. President Donald Trump address the crowd outside of the Manhattan courthouse. Again, this is after being found guilty on 34 criminal charges, basically saying that this is a disgrace. There was no venue change as they requested in that area. They were polling about 5% or 6%. Right now, let's go back to John Misick, politics editor at MassLive.com. So, John, historically speaking, there have been other national figureheads who've been, tried on other criminal charges. Can you kind of put a little context around this in terms of how this all looks?
Yeah, Bakari, I think it's important to establish one thing for your audience right away. None of what the former president just said was true. President Biden has steadfastly denied any interference in this case. The case was not rigged. What the former president said about people coming into the nation and coming into the country through the nation's southern border also is not true. There were a number of falsehoods in those remarks. So it's important to note that most of what the former president said in those remarks is not true. To your question at hand, we have seen leaders down the years. Manuel Noriega, the former leader of Panama, do prison time. We've seen leaders in other countries do prison time. But those, of course, are examples in other countries. We've seen elected officials in the United States go to jail and serve time. Former members of Congress, I've covered those cases. Former state legislators in the United States have been arrested and gone to jail. So it is not without precedent. But again, we are looking at a former president of the United States, completely uncharted territory here.
Yeah, and along with that, making history. John Misick, politics editor at MassLive.com, joining us on this historic day. Thanks, John.
You bet. Anytime.